1, 2, 3, go.
So we're back in the mix with Hip Hop 101, and we've got Dres here from Black Sheep. Thank you very much.
So good to be here.
Thank you for performing. Everybody was downstairs screaming and hollering.
We had a good time. That's what's up.
Okay.
In the mix. We definitely back up in the mix.
Well, thank you so much. So I just want to get a couple questions from you about, how you got started in the game. We're talking about back in the day. Back in the day, what was Dres doing? How did you get on the game?
Well, I was a youngster, and just probably like a lot of young cats, at the time were just totally enthralled by the music. It was just like, it was just a calling. Mm-hmm. Some of the earliest records that I really remember that made me want to write a rhyme would be to the tunes of maybe Just Ice's Latoya, or Fearless 4, Fearless Freestyle, Problems of the World. Like just prolific kind of cats that were making statements in their records. A big shout to Melly Mel. He was one of the game changers. And then I remember the energies of Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? Like just being young and seeing this really strong energy. Hearing it come through my radio, and and actually getting to the point where I was able to sneak into a few clubs or catch a park jam or what have you and see it live. It changed my life.
And at what point did you decide that this was something that you could do? I mean, admiring it is one thing, but then having the initiative and, to go for it yourself.
Little known fact about me. The year was probably around 1988.
Okay.
And for some reason or another, I thought I was supposed to be a hustler. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a big mistake of mine to find myself at about 18 years old, locked up on Rikers Island for a year. So when Cool G Rap dropped Rikers Island, I was on Rikers Island.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was at that point, this is something I really don't speak to, but something I probably should. It was at that point that I decided that within myself that I was never coming back here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And anything that led me here was a mistake. Okay. And I needed to do something else with my life. And I've always been musically inclined. Both my parents were lead singers in bands. I played various instruments in high school. And it was something that kind of came easy to me. It was something that was just a part of who I was. My mother honestly thought I was going to be a singer. And, for some odd reason, I decided to do what my father used to do. And, like I said, I thought I was supposed to. But it was such a mistake. It was your
environment.
True. And it was a mistake. It was a young boy's mistake. Sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes we don't get a chance to correct ourselves.
Right, but you learn from your mistake.
Truly.
And hearing that song, we often talk about life imitating art, but the hip-hop culture does it more than just about anything. Rap really reflects what's on the street. So for you, hearing that, and now you realize you've got to get out and do something different with your life.
It made me realize that I had a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did not have to be in the circumstances that I found myself. That I had a choice, and
so
the choice was mine. You know what I'm saying? And because of a lack of good decision making, and just thinking, and just taking a moment to sit down and ponder what I was supposed to be doing with my life, I let myself make a poor decision, which affected my life. You know what I'm saying? And we're all victims of making poor decisions. It happens, but ultimately, that was a life-changing experience for me.
So now, I can give you a personal story. I remember I was in high school, and I didn't necessarily sneak out, but I went to Vassar College.
Oh yeah,
to see you perform.
Oh,
you were headlining,
wow.
And it was Das FX, Digital Underground, and you. And I remember Digital Underground saying that Tupac couldn't be there because he was filming Juice. And I remember like, Tupac's acting? Like it was like this big thing. But it rained. We waited out in the rain for you. And I just remember how live, everybody was like slowly building. But when you took the stage, it was so live. Oh, cool. So for you to, if you even remember that day, you performed a lot over the years.
Yeah,
but for that performance, if you were to reflect back from where you came, what was that whole experience like, just being at the top,
I think it was probably a little more, I think it was bigger than I realized it was. Okay. Because when I was in the middle of it, it really didn't seem that big. Mm-hmm. It definitely wasn't as big as it is these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whereas these days, if you make a record, you can make a record, just one song and become a multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. That kind of didn't exist back then. And and even to say like the internet and like the world's a much smaller place today. The world was pretty big to me back then. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other countries that might not necessarily have any clue what was going on with any artist. So at that time, I was pretty young, and I'm just really taking it in, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I was just really grateful, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's kept me pretty humble over the years.
And in the moment, you understood how important that was, at least for you, from where you had come from.
I always understood that I didn't have to be there. Always understood that, you know what I'm saying? So it made me pretty much who I am today, that I'm grateful to anyone that speaks to me. Anyone that wants me to sign something, take a picture, or just have a quick word or two, I'm elated to, because I really understand that you don't have to speak to me. You don't have to take a picture of me, you can just walk by me. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate, people that show me a little love and give it right back to me.
Well, now, some of the reasons why we're doing this segment is because a lot of people out there, these young kids who don't know what, back in the day, real hip-hop and true music was.
Right.
And so what do you say to someone who hears, this crazy Kia commercial, and they hear this song for the first time, and they're like, ooh, that's hot. Where does that come from? There's been a gap, I think, for a lot of people. They don't necessarily know what you've been up to, but I know you've never stopped working. I know you've been in the game. So tell us what you've been doing since, in the last 10 years or so.
Oh, well, I took the time to incorporate myself, something I advise every single artist to grow to. You know what I'm saying? You might not necessarily be there today, but definitely have the aspiration to grow, to have your own company, which I have my own company, and over the last 10 years I've released a few albums on my own, some of them very low brow, but definitely just building, building to the point where I'm at right now. I just released the latest project from the Blackpool of Genius, and it has features by AZ, Rhyme Fest, Jean Grey. I got a Native Tongue reunion track with me, Q-Tip, Dave from Daylight, Mike G. I got Psycho Les on the album, a dope young R&B duo by the name of PMV. I got Rosie Perez on the album, and my man Mums from The Poet from Oz. And all of that is a testament to my walk, that these are all friends of mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's my own label. I don't represent big budget anything. It's all relationships and rapports and just good people vibing with good people making good music. You know what I'm saying? So I want to definitely let everybody know to check for the new Black Sheep album. It's available in some stores, but everywhere online, iTunes, eMusic, Napster, wherever you
stores right now?
Right now.
Okay.
From the Blackpool of Genius. And it represents growth. It represents, growth from back when we're talking to today. I took the time to incorporate myself and just kind of do my own thing, and it's a slow walk, but I think the music speaks in volume, you know what I'm saying? And everyone